Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna and welcome to all the devotees on the line. Thank you very much again for your kind attendance and keen interest in hearing about the journey through divine love session number 10. We're covering the sessions or sections, chapters from Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, and this is level 1, just so that we have an overview of this journey, like a high-level roadmap. And then as we progress, we can go to level 2 and go more in detail into each of the sections. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Mitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Prastyatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So let us cover any feedback anyone has from yesterday's session. Any questions or clarifications before we do a little recap? And as always, Tivarika is ready with her feedback. Hare Krishna, always remember Krishna and never forget him. Our attitude must be sincere, honest, sincere practitioners. Read Srila Prabhupada's books at least 1 to 2 hours a day, or at least few hours a week, or some hours a week. Try to keep some schedule of associating. Holy name is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Japa is the most important until we chant 24 hours a day. Be serious about the relationship with the holy name. Very good. Any others? Right. So, taking on from yesterday's question that Mukund, or the proposal that Mukund presented, Shama Gurangi Devidasi says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, to the do's and don'ts, some of the do's are beyond our means to do. Is it meant to be for different classes of devotees? So maybe give me an example. Shama Gurangi Devidasi, like give me an example of one do that may be difficult or out of your reach, if it's not too personal. Then we can focus on that in a practical way. Shamananda Prabhu says, just thinking about this point, Dhamma Aparat, Seva Aparat, but more straightforward than Jiva and Vaishnav Aparat from the other angle. Yes. What constitutes an offense? Shouldn't we be easygoing, humble, tolerant, etc.? So shouldn't take offense easily. So if you come back to the example that Srila Prabhupada gave, which we covered in our previous sessions, the unripe mango and the ripe mango. So yes, every devotee who's on the path of this journey is meant to have tolerance and forgiveness, and I'm the lowest, you can trample over me. That is ripe mango. Now, we may be unripe, and we're expecting everybody else to be ripe. Is that fair? Srila Prabhupada said, I'm tolerating you. Why can't you tolerate others? So yes, that's the goal. Just like everybody's in the shower of Krishna consciousness, dirt is coming out. So when you see the dirt, oh, run, get out of the shower. No, you stay in the shower. Tolerate everybody that's in the shower. So yes, if everybody was like Vaikuntha man, Vaikuntha woman, then we wouldn't have been, there would be any problems. We wouldn't be in the material world in the first place. So the reason we're in the material world is because of all these different issues. And now we in the shower and the cleansing process, we're in the hospital. When you go to the hospital, I mean, shouldn't a hospital be like, the hospital is meant to cure people, right? So why are there more sick people in the hospital? They should be getting cured. But that's the hospital. They're in the transition of getting cured. Therefore, the doctors, the visitors, the guests need to be tolerant, patient with them. So same way. What constitutes an offense? So we already covered and touched on that. Depending on the category, we already covered, like Dharma Aparad, that constitutes offense. Vaishnav Aparad, to find fault with a Vaishnav for his past sins, for his birth. So those are offenses. Prajalpa, talking, this is offense. Not following the order of the spiritual master, offense. Inattention, an offense. Having ill intention in our heart is an offense. Anything that transgresses, or let's put it this way, ask the question, if Prabhupada is next to me, or if Krishna is next to me, and I act in a certain way, I think in a certain way, I act in a certain way, I say something, will they be pleased? If they're not pleased, it's an offense. So something that is an obstacle on the path of devotional service. And yes, I'm also a teacher, I'm also a student. So I may also have to recap the material again and again until I understand it, discuss it from different perspective, until I get the proper understanding. We may not get everything on the first go. We may have to go over it few iterations, so be it. Hope that answers that question. Hamisha, we need to be mindful of all the various types of offenses. Yes, Bhaktin Colleen. What exactly does it start? It starts at 7:15 South African time, 7:15. Go to 19:15. That's the time it starts. Go to world time clock and you can synchronize the timing. Shama Guranga Devidas says, Prabhuji, I don't have the list now. I will get it during the class and ask at the end. Okay, perfect. Right, it starts at 7:15. You can learn how respect and attitude is important. Yes, respect and attitude in any field is key, is vital, is important, and more so in spiritual life. Chaitanya Bhagavat says, I am struggling to get to what? Log in. All right. We have to keep struggling on this path until we logged in. So try maybe the internet, whatever, keep trying. Right? And if you can't, don't worry. The recording is also there. Yes. We have to maneuver through all these different challenges. And linking to Chaitanya Bhagavat's challenge, and also linking to yesterday Mukund's question. I mean, all this trouble is like, gee, this is scary. This is troublesome. Why do we have to go through all this trouble? Can we not just sit back and relax? So what do you all think about that option? let's just, I mean, we spent already 10 hours, well, more than 10 hours going over this journey. We haven't even completed the journey. And Anarta Nivriti was like, Eish, scary stuff here, obstacles. Maybe I should just keep it easy. So what do you think of keeping it easy? Please share, because I like to spend some time on this to make sure that this question does not come up again. We covered this aspect a little in the beginning, but we want to make sure that those doubts don't surface. Shamaguranga Devidas says, respect is more important quality as it makes one humble and makes it easy to be the servant of all living beings and have no pride and anger, greed and envy. Yes, at the same time, we have bad habits and we have bad qualities, and sometimes they do surface, unfortunately. Bafana, I see everything you've lectured in as encapsulating all that a pure devotee constitutes. And it's like a mirror from which each one can reflect their devotional service and devotional being. So nice. Sounds hard, but what's favorable is its conceived personality of a devotee. Amavati says, no giving up. I think Cookie says we need to respect Vaishnavas. Right. So coming back, Shamaguranga said, Prabhuji, knowing that these offenses and artas, they make us aware when we are doing it and make us cautious to not do it. Awareness is important, yes. So that's why we're also going through this trouble, so that we understand. And once I have a roadmap and I know, oh, that's an obstacle, guess what? I can check it when it comes in my mind. Prabhupada said it's not a problem to make a mistake in devotional service. I don't know what's right and wrong. And I may do the wrong thing. That is why if I have those who are compassionate, kind, educated, experienced, they can guide me nicely. No, don't do it like that. Prabhupada actually said, must do it like this. No problem. Prabhupada said you can make a mistake, learn from it. Make it again, learn from it. Make it again, learn from it. You make it a fourth time, you get booted. So, mistakes is not a problem. Krishna doesn't crucify you for making a mistake. So why all the trouble? We need to be convinced of our constitutional position. If you want to be happy, if you want to be blissful, which every living entity is searching for, Ananda Abhyasat, every living entity wants to be happy, but they're looking for happiness in the wrong place. Srila Prabhupada said material life is impossible. Spiritual life is difficult. Now, just consider, just think about this. Every living entity, every person you see around you is looking for happiness through material life, which is impossible. They're looking for happiness in the wrong place. And are they willing to give it up? No. So they're not willing to give up the search in the wrong place. That's not intelligence. That is not intelligent. Prabhupada is showing us the way, the right place to look for happiness. And yes, are the materialists going through difficult times? You bet. Are the devotees going to go through difficult times? You bet. So we both going to go through difficult times. I would rather go on a difficult path in the right direction than go on a difficult path going nowhere in the wrong direction forever. If I'm making sense, just say yes. Just comment in the chat. because this is an important point to understand. Because why? If your why is not strong right at the beginning, right on the onset of your journey, oh, let's go to India. And now let's go to Jagannath Puri. So you get all your tickets, everything arranged to Jagannath Puri. And all of a sudden you land, or rather, there's a roadblock going to Johannesburg Airport. 3 hours. Lucky you went a little early. And you just missed your flight. You come to Bombay. And guess what? There's some havoc. Terminal closed. Your flight's cancelled. Oops. And it's already dark. Where are you going to stay? You try to look for the hotel. They're full. Your journey is already troublesome. The rickshaw-wallahs and whoever else cheated you. You haven't even reached Jagannath Puri. You're going to have obstacles. How your attitude towards the obstacles is very important. But more important is your desire to get to the destination. Are you convinced that I want the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna under any circumstance at every cost, no matter what the obstacles are? If you study Mahabharata, Ramayana, or see the movies, you'll see the commitment, the dedication of some of these great devotees, even of the demons. I mean, consider, I want mystic powers and I'm going to, fast, perform austerities for thousands of years, no eating, no drinking, just standing on my toe. Like, really? Are you serious about that? You're going to go through that difficulty for just some mystic powers? Yes. And Ravana, these great demons, they do that. Hiranyakashipu, they do that. So, how did the devotees get the association of Krishna? They had to perform great severe austerities and penances. So yes, embrace this journey knowing that there may be challenges. And by Krishna's grace, by Prabhupada's grace, by the devotees' grace, we can overcome, no problem. It's possible. All right, let's just see some comments. Right, Mukund says, if you don't go through an experience situation, you will never learn. Correct, and I will share in the next slide of some experiences that we can learn from. Radhika, keeping easy put us at a disadvantage. Today I realize my half obeisances and I started changing my bad habits. I'm glad, very good. Meena says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, it seems that sin can be easily destroyed, but aparadha is more dangerous as it touches the soul. Too many rules, and it seems like it's easier on the material path. Are you telling me the material path doesn't have many rules? Okay, let's start. How many rules were there in school? How many rules are there to raise a child? How many rules are there to start a business? You think there isn't many rules? Start counting. You'll be surprised. To be in this material world, there are many rules. How many rules are on the road? Did you? I'm sure you passed your driver's license, right? You had to study a big book, thick book, huh? How many rules? Count the number of rules in that book compared to Nectar of Devotion. Let's see. And that's just one section of material life. There are many others. What about living healthy in this world? Are there many rules to follow health, a good health guideline? So when you start looking at rules, there are many. Right. Shamananda Prabhu says, each of the day we indebted to Srila Prabhupada for all his effort and sacrifice. We really don't have an option but to also do our small part, sacrifice and see how to push on the mission, find our place even amidst the challenges within the material world and Krishna conscious society as well. So to take an easy route, comfortable situation is a selfish option. Yes. Okay. Mina says, one person told me that devotees look so miserable, so we rather be happy and enjoy material life. again. And so just please keep these in mind. Today, I may spend a little more time. Next slide, I'm going to share. Yes, there may be, devotees that look very sad. Well, I rather would look for devotees who are blissful. Okay, regarding that point, please type in the chat. Have any of you seen blissful devotees? Just say yes, I have. Let's see if maybe there isn't. Maybe there's one. Well, maybe there's no blissful devotees. I think we have a problem here. Okay. All right. So Mina, please see. We have some yes coming through. And Shamananda says both. Yes. So don't look at those who are not happy. Prabhupada said, don't be surprised who leaves. Be surprised who stay. So notice those activities that those who are staying doing. Don't worry about those who are leaving. Learn from those who are staying. All right. One time they looked at Srila Prabhupada's picture and said, Prabhupada, you look so sad. Prabhupada said, that's grave. Grave means deep in thought of Krishna. Prabhupada said, that time I was in my ecstasy. So yeah, sometimes you don't know. Devotees are fully absorbed. Okay. Shamananda Gauranga Devi says, Prabhuji, my Guru Maharaj is giving class now on Vaishnava etiquette. I will join there. No problem. Yes, perfect. Catch the nectar later. Bafana says, may I say, anarthas are to be perceived differently as needed to be pointed out to liberate us mentally, not to bind me perpetually, or shall I say mentally. So perception is key to integrate anarthas, not as binding. I'd love to perceive anarthas and freedom from them in terms of perception management. Yes, at least we should know them. Then we can maneuver through them. Right, Bhakti and Colleen, what happens to World War III breaks out and we get nuked? Yeah, right now the world is at the brink of World War III. Prabhupada had already warned the devotees that there will be World War III. And what will happen to all of us? So they asked Prabhupada, if World War III happens, what should we do? Can anyone tell me what did Srila Prabhupada say? Because we need to remember these things. Why? Because it can happen right now. Russia just need to say we had enough. In fact, already France is already interfering with the situation. Germany already interfering with the situation. There's already countries that are interfering with the situation. Why? Because those who are in power, they are losing control. And if they lose control, the last card that they can play is let's take everybody out. Well, if we're going to lose, well, let's get everybody out. So they're playing the last card that's at hand. And one thing I can tell you, even if there's a third world war, this material creation will not be destroyed. We still got 425,000 years to go. And the golden age has to transpire. So all this is part of the golden age to purify those who are going to be left alone, left afterwards, after the war. Right, Hemavati says, chant Hare Krishna. See the bomb coming and chant Hare Krishna. Focus on Lord Krishna and chant. Just chant Hare Krishna. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. And that is what Srila Prabhupada said. Srila Prabhupada said, if there is going to be a World War III, just chant Hare Krishna. So, if Russia presses the button, they said, you have, did they say 17 minutes? I forgot the number. Anyway, whatever minutes, you will get a notification the bomb has been released. And therefore, just start chanting Hare Krishna, forget the rest, and then we deal with the mass later on. Okay, so I would rather be in the spiritual world than to be caught up in all these situations. Trust me. Great. Why are we focused on this trouble? Because it is the only solution. We need Krishna. If we get Krishna's lotus feet, if we get pure love of Krishna, all problems solved. So let us embrace this journey. Let us be convinced that's my goal. If it takes me 100 lifetimes, I don't care. No matter what obstacles, I'm going to keep going. I know I have the backing of Hari Guru Vaishnav's Bhagavad Gita. I have the backing, no doubt, because the acharyas want us to go back home. Prabhupada want us to go back home. Krishna want us to go back home. So we have all these great well-wishers wanting us to go back home. Let's face the music. We created the music. Let's face the music. Now, let's move on. Let me share some experience of anarthas. I also have plenty of anarthas. And it's good to at least know your anarthas and see how the process is working, because the process is science. I remember when I went one or the first or second trip to Vrindavan, we were going very regularly studying there. And I went to, so it was Mangalarti time, got up early and we ran to Mangalarti. And there I was in Mangalarti. And I'm standing in Mangalarti, and this was my experience. So I'm fairly young in the process of Krishna consciousness. I'm there in the morning in the Mangalarti, in the Dham, and all of a sudden I feel this like a heavy experience of like a cloud, dark cloud on my head. It's like I'm in the mode of ignorance, right there in the holy Dham in front of Radha Shyam Sundar. And I'm feeling like, what's this? I mean, Maya. I'm supposed to be, this is like supposed to be a blissful place. I like this tough life here, man. The Sanarta is on my head. And I can feel that energy is negative energy. So it's an anartha. Well, what I'm going to do? What can we do? Pray. Just keep praying. My Lord, this is my life. This is my situation. Please help. Help, help, help. And guess what happens? After some time, doof. Oh, what happened to the cloud? It's gone. Interesting. Whatever it was, doesn't matter. Just keep with the process. And the process will purify. Krishna's there. Another time, so when I was a congregation member, that time the temple was in Mildesruf, just off Base Nadia. So I would get up early, 3 o'clock, get ready. And this was also in the very early days, even before I joined. And very silently come out of the house because nobody, must need to get disturbed. And then I would drive. Don't tell anyone. It was without having my driver's license. I would drive in the evening to the morning program. Now there I'm in the morning program. Even when they moved to Hillbrow Temple, I would go as a new bhakta for the morning program, and I would be there in the morning program and half dazed off. Believe it or not, half dazed off. Like I'm half sleeping because I'm so tired. This is new, like getting up 4:30 in the morning or 3 o'clock, getting ready for driving and coming for the temple at 4:30 is not comfortable, and I'm like sleeping. Now when I go for Mangalarti, I can't fall off to sleep. In fact, now it's a festival. It's a party. Krishna conscious party. So when I fell off to sleep and I'm half, daisy, I didn't say, okay, this is not good for me. I think I should stay home. No, stick with the process. It'll purify you. There are many experiences like that in life. When I was in school, grade 10, one of my best friends told me something that became an anartha that stayed for me, or that stayed as an anartha for at least 15 years. I visited my uncle, and my uncle showed me something that I'm not supposed to see. And when the mind focuses on something, it gets locked in. And sure enough, that got locked in and became an anartha for 25 years. And I won't tell you because that's going to get locked in your consciousness. So don't ask. But we keep at the process of Krishna consciousness. What happens? It gets purified. No problem. Different experiences of life will increase your faith. We just have to keep at it. One more example. I went to Vrindavan. We're studying there for a few months. It was hot weather. I caught jaundice, disease of the liver. One devotee said, why didn't you go see Prem Saki? What mantra he'll pull the bile out? And I said, huh? What mantra is going to pull the bile out? Yeah. Okay, so I went there. I'm making the long story short. There I was with my gamsha in the middle of the courtyard. He gave me a mango bark and he pours clean water on my head. With the mango bark, I had to rub my skin. As I'm rubbing my skin with the mango bark and he's pouring water, clean, crystal clear water on my head, dropping on my body, coming out yellow. Wow. We did this a few times. After a few times, I went to him, what you doing? He says, well, very simple. I'm chanting a mantra. With that mantra, I can pull the bile out. And you got a mango bark, and I'm dropping water and you're rinsing it. Amazing. Can cure cholera, can cure any disease, you know, whatever with mantra power. I said, hey, that's amazing. Can you teach me the mantra? I said, yes. We set a date for initiation. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj came. That night I was meant to get initiated into the mantras. Prabhupada Maharaj was giving a class on chanting Hare Krishna. And my initiation day time got passed and I realized through Prabhupada's mercy and through Maharaj's mercy, I got the Maha Mantra. That mantra that can remove every anartha that exists. Why? Because the mantra is Krishna. So what talk about, you know, cholera and bile and everything material. He doesn't have the mantra to purify all the anarthas. The Hare Krishna mantra, just with the power of mantra, sound, can remove all anarthas. My faith increased in chanting the holy names. We have the perfect solution. We just have to embrace it. Practice and don't worry too much. Yes, it's all about sadhu sangha. It's about who we are associating and how we are associating. We should follow Srila Prabhupada's guidelines. Associate nicely. What does that mean? It means don't associate with people like Mantra. She even diverted Kekai. Mantra means somebody who stirs the wrong mentality, consciousness, ideas. Kekai was so devotional to Lord Ram, even more than Ram's own mother. But with Mantra, the whole destiny was changed. Don't associate people like Dushashan. They will destroy your devotion. They will destroy your kripa. So be selective who you associate with. And if somebody that falls in this category starts to speak to you about, associate with you, or, you know, then just press the delete button. Make an excuse. Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have to go. I'm busy. Yeah. You have full independence. It's all about the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, not International Society for Anartha Consciousness. So don't focus on your narratives. Don't worry about your narratives. Just be aware of them and don't try to increase them. How will you know you shouldn't increase? You should know what they are so that you don't increase them. But all that are there and all that may come out, well, let them come out. Our focus is Krishna consciousness, not Anartha consciousness. So this chapter is not, well, you could say it's meant to make you scared so that you be more cautious, but it's meant to keep you on the journey. And what's the journey? What's the destination? Krishna consciousness, pure love of Krishna. That's the journey. Just like there may be different obstacles on your way to Jagannath Puri. The goal is important. Destinations, we deal with it as we go through. Just like right now, we deal with the current situation as we go through. Right. Let me share our blessings, our good fortune. This was written by Bhakti Bringer Govinda Maharaj. When I first met Akinchi Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, this was just after Srila Prabhupada's this departure. The next day after the Samadhi was over, the next day, Bibi Govinda Maharaj, Bhakti Bringer Govinda Maharaj writes this. when I first met Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, here's a beautiful picture of Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was the only disciple that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was happy to give Babaji initiation. He could chant 24 hours non-stop. In fact, in the early days, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj sent an advert in the newspaper saying, free lodging, free boarding, lodging, food, everything. You just come, you just chant Hare Krishna. That's all. Everything free. So a lot of participants joined. They came because free boarding, lodging, everything. And 1, 2, 3, 4 days, after a few days, everybody left because they couldn't keep chanting Hare Krishna. The only person that survived was Srila Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. He was the only one chanting 24 hours non-stop. And the devotees began to complain to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj that Guru Maharaj, he's only chanting Hare Krishna and not doing anything else. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, yes, that is the objective, that's the goal. In fact, when he was leaving, it's mentioned when Srila Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was leaving this world, the doctor came with a stethoscope and put the stethoscope on his heart. And as soon as the doctor put a stethoscope on his heart, immediately on his chest, immediately the doctor heard Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. He took the stethoscope away, thought, what am I hearing? Put it back. That's what he heard. Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj's whole being was chanting Hare Krishna. So he's right. He's writing, I didn't know what to say. I simply offered my respects and said, Srila Akinchan Krishnadas Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Maharaj saw that I had a tape recorder in my hands. And without my having to say anything, he closed his eyes and started tapping his hands together and sang his Mangala Charan before singing Shri Krishna Chaitanya. When he started singing the Hare Krishna mantra, it was like going into another world. He was chanting so beautifully, and it was each syllable was drenched in bhava and prem. After about 20 minutes, he stopped. He looked at me and said, I would like to tell you something. So what he's going to say is very important because he is no ordinary person. He is a great Mahabhagavat. And this is what he said. What is that? I said. He said, I'm an old man and I've had a lot of experience in this world. From my experience, I can honestly tell you that there's never been a greater acharya than your spiritual master, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When he said that, I was stunned because he was a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When he looked up and he said, there has never been an acharya in the history who has performed miracles like your spiritual master. He paused and looked at me and asked, do you know why? I couldn't speak. Because in history, there's never a greater servant of Shri Krishna's holy name than your spiritual master. Because your spiritual master had so much absolute understanding of Shri Krishna's holy name and so much absolute faith in Shri Krishna's holy name that he personally carried Shri Krishna's holy name through the length and breadth of the world. Therefore, he is the greatest acharya who has ever existed. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And we are here under the blessings and mercy of Srila Prabhupada, under his guidance and shelter. So we have everything. Prabhupada has given us everything. We simply should be convinced and keep following. There are many things. This is called the circle of control, influence, and concern. There are many things that we cannot control, that we may be concerned of. The circle of concern is big, but we cannot control these things. Then there's a circle of influence, and that's even maybe finer we get things that you can control. So the circle of concern, like the weather, the people's health status, climate change, war politics, violence, we are concerned about that. But can you do anything about it? No. In essence, you can chant Hare Krishna, pray for them. But that's it. Then the circle of influence, work relationships, family relation, behavior of people. We can influence each other. But what do we do have control? That's where we work on. Personal goals, self-care practice, priorities, boundaries you set, your thoughts, how you respond to others, etc. That we have full control. Our practice of devotional service, we have full control. Let us focus on that. We don't need to ignore the others. We can be concerned, but no, you can't do anything. You can't do anything about it. So don't bother too much. Don't focus your time and energy on things that you can't do anything or much about. So we started with Shraddha. We then discussed Sadhu Sangha. We discussed the Kleshas. We discussed Subhada. Then we came to Bhajana Kriya. We discussed the different obstacles or stages that we go through Bhajana Kriya, from Utsamai, Ganatarana, Vyuda Vikalpa, Vishaya Sangara, Niyamagra, and Tarangarangani. As we go through them, we get purified. This is also the stage of Anartha Nivriti, because Bhajana Kriya purifies us of the Anartha before it's coming to Nishta. So basically, as I'm doing Bhajana Kriya, Cheto Darpanam, my heart starts to become purified, the obstacles start to become purified, then I come to Nishta. In Anartha Nivriti, there are just specific obstacles or anarthas that we have to be attentive to. Obstacles that come from our past, obstacles that come from piety, obstacles that come from bhakti, and obstacles that are born due to the offense to the holy name. So they're there, and we need to be attentive to that. Now there are 5 more obstacles that are still there, and as we continue to practice, that will cease to exist as we come to the stage of Nishta. So when these obstacles begin to disappear, that's a sign that I am now coming to unshakable resolve, Nishta, fixed devotional service. Okay? Because they will be there and they will slowly unmanifest before Nishta. They're a little more subtle. They'll, these gross ones will be there. The gross anarthas, etc. They have gross and subtle, but that's how we can gauge, and we're going to speak about those. So this is the 4th shower of nectar, steadfast devotion. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes, thus far 2 types of bhajana kriya, devotional practice, have been described. Anishtita, devoid of steadiness, and nishtita, fixed. So we're starting with anishtita, and this is nishtita, fixed. But between that stage and that stage, there's anartha nivriti. Technically, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying is that you should get unsteady devotional service, then steady devotional service. But it seems like there is a stage in between, which is anartha nivriti. And that's what's going to be discussed. In the explanation of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, its 6 different divisions were presented, such as Utsamahi. Yet, following that, contrary to what might be expected, the symptoms of Nishtita Bhajana Kriya, steadfast devotional service, were not examined. Rather, we turned our attention to the topics of Anartha Nivriti, the eradication of impediments on bhakti. This is because it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2, 17 and 18, Shri Krishna is the supreme well-wishing friend of the saints, and hearing and chanting his glories is his topmost virtue. He situates himself in the heart of those who constantly engage in hearing about him. Who is cleaning your heart? It is Krishna. and still you worried about your obstacles? Dear devotees, please understand who's cleaning your heart. If Krishna is doing the work, tell me what he cannot clean. Which obstacle is so big, so insurmountable that he cannot clean? You're not cleaning it. Krishna is cleaning it. How? That's what we're going to talk about. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti is quoting this verse. Thus, destroying the amassed inauspiciousness, when all the inauspiciousness has been virtually destroyed, nasta, through constant serving the Bhagavata, Grantha Bhagavat and the Bhakta Bhagavat. So if we hear the glories of Bhagavatam, and if we serve Srila Prabhupada, this is what's going to happen. Now, is it difficult to serve the Bhagavatam? Like opening the Bhagavatam and reading something from the Bhagavatam? Is it difficult to serve Srila Prabhupada? He says, chant Hare Krishna, eat Krishna Prasad, chant and dance, read my books. Is that difficult? Then unflinching devotion, Naishtiki Bhakti, for Uttama Sloka Sri Bhagavan, he who is eulogized by the sublime verses of Shastra awakens within their heart. In the first line of these verses, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Sharavana Kirtana. This is the process. Unsteady devotion, Anishtita Bhakti, has been mentioned, and Nishtata Bhakti has been described afterwards. But between these two types of bhakti, there is a description of anartha vritti. A vast accumulation of inauspiciousness is destroyed. Abhadrani vidunoti. This statement denotes the topics of anartha vritti. Furthermore, the use of the words nasta prayashu abhadreshu, as the mass of inauspiciousness is nearly destroyed, indicates that there's still a portion of inauspiciousness that has not been eradicated. Therefore, the fact that Nishtita Bhakti is being described now after Anartha Nivritti is based entirely on the sequence presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. So bear with me, we'll put it clearly in context. In the second Shah of Nectar, the two stages Bhajana Kriya, Anishtita and Nishtita were described. The 6 types of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya were then elaborately delineated in the end of the shower. However, in the third shower of Nectar did not begin with an elaboration of the second type, Bhajana Kriya, Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, along with its symptom, as one might expect. Instead, the topics Anartha Nivritti were delineated. Why has Anartha Nivritti been discussed after unsteady practice of devotional service? Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, instead of steady practice of devotional service, Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti quotes these 2 verses that he mentions, and here's the 2 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2, 17 and 18, which we already covered briefly. We're going to go into detail and just recap again. In these verses, Nishtha is described only after elucidation of Anartha Nivritti. So, Shrinutam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna Katha is very, very pious. It's the most pious of all activities. It's most glorious of all activities. And if you do that, Ridyantasto Yabhadrani, all the abhadrani, the inauspiciousness is destroyed from the heart. Vidunoti Surit Satam. By who? By our Surit friend, Shri Krishna. So, by hearing and chanting, Lord Krishna already starts. The sound vibration purifies, and Krishna manifests in the heart and starts purifying. Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu. How much is purified? All the abhadras, how much? Prayeshu. Keep this word in mind. Prayesh. We covered it yesterday. I'm going to show you where that word comes. Prayesh. And what should we continue doing? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Regularly. Just here, serve the book Bhagavat, serve the person Bhagavat. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. And by doing this, as we go through Abhadrani, we come to Naishtiki Bhakti. So engage in devotional service, hearing and chanting. Krishna starts to purify our heart. And by constantly hearing and chanting, serving the Bhagavat, serving the book Bhagavat, person Bhagavat, we will eventually come to Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu, the stage of all anarthas come practically reduce Prayash. And then we come to steady devotional service. Translation. Sri Krishna is the eternal well-wishing friend of all saints. Both hearing and uttering his glories are purifying. Sri Krishna situates himself in the heart of those who hear his katha and destroy all their inauspicious tendency. So now just consider on this part of bhakti, how wonderful that Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is dealing with your heart. No other process this works. In every other process, whether it's material life or whether it's spiritual life, karma kanda, jnana karma, all the other kandas, there is do's and don'ts. There are regulations. There are strictures that if you deviate, you can get nailed. The process can give you dangerous results. You can incur sins. You can have to go to hell and tomb. Bhakti is so wonderful. Your Ishtadev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally takes charge of your heart. How wonderful that is. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur quotes these two verses. I added Prabhupada's translation here. Shrinutam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Ridyantasto Yabhadrani, Vidunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the person of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. Almost. Prayeshu. And loving service under the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable. All we need to do is focus on hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna. Serving. Who? The book Bhagavat, the person Bhagavat. Of all the persons Bhagavat, Srila Prabhupada. And you can serve other devotees. Very simple process. You're not asking for much. Yes, all the other rules and regulations are there. They'll come. Absorb yourself in these two activities daily. And the others, by the way, they'll get purified. The sequence in which anarthas arise from aparad was discussed. Now Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains removal of the three types of anarthas. So this we covered yesterday. 2 slides I'm going to share from yesterday, this one and this one. Just to put in context, because at different stages, the different types of anarthas are becoming cleansed. And the Sanskrit word here, prayiki, almost complete, right? So for example, almost complete. Almost complete. Impious and pious, almost complete. At Bhava stages, almost complete. So by doing this process, simply doing this process, serving the Bhagavatas, we can basically come to destroy all our anarthas almost complete. Not complete, but almost complete, which is very, very far. You see, it's practically, there are different stages. Okay, let's cover this. So at stage of Bhajana Kriya, the cessation of anartha and pious activity is complete. Then at Nishta, it's almost complete, Prayaki. At the stage of Nishta, cessation of anarthas is Purna, complete. And at the stage of Ashakti, anarthas is absolute. So as we purify, we get to almost complete. And that's already at the stage of coming to the stage of Nishta. So if we regularly perform activities that Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, we will come to the stage of Nishta. Just through the process. In Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada said, if you stay on this path of Krishna consciousness, it will force you to perfection. That's how powerful this process is. Then Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur continues. By continually serving the Bhagavata, Grantha Bhagavatam, or by continually rendering service to the Bhagavan's pure devotees, Bhakta Bhagavat, the inauspiciousness in the heart is almost fully destroyed. It is then that unflinching devotion, Nishtiki Bhakti to Bhagavan Shri Krishna, who is eulogized by transcendent sloka, awakens within the heart. In the beginning, the first of the four most mentioned verses, it is stated, Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana, attentively hearing and chanting the glories of Bhagavan Shri Krishna are purifying. So focus on attentive hearing and chanting. It is to be understood that these words refer to the stage of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya. This is because they are followed by the description, Ridyanta Stoya Bhadrani. After entering their hearts, he purifies them of all inauspiciousness. The statement in the first of the two verses describe the stage of Anartha Nivriti. We then find that the phase in which anarthas are eradicated is only mentioned after Anishtita Bhajana Kriya. In the first part of the second verse, it is stated, Ashta Prayasho Bhadreshu Nitam Bhagadava Sevaya, as a result of continuously serving the Grantha Bhagavat or the Bhakta Bhagavat, anarthas are almost completely destroyed. This statement indicates that even in the stage of Anartha Nivriti, portions of some very powerful anarthas has not been exterminated. And we know that those portions are the offenses to, like Vaishnava Parad. They will be destroyed, removed completely at a later stage. It is for this very reason that Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has logically presented the 5 stages of freedom from these anarthas, namely partially free, Ekadashavartini, predominantly free, Bahudeshavartini, almost completely free, Prayiki, and completely Purna, and an absolute free, Atyantiki. In other words, it was mentioned that even up to the stage of Rati Bhava, portions of some very powerful anarthas stemming from the past offenses, aparadota anarthas, still remain. The same has been indicated in a 4-cited statement from Srimad Bhagavatam. In the following verse, Srila Rupa Goswami delineates the sequence in which bhajan progresses. So this is the verse, Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Tato Anartha Nivriti Syat Tato Nishta Ruchis Tata. Here in Bhajana Kriya refers solely to the stage of unsteady devotional practice, Anishtita Bhajana, because in this verse also the stage of Nishta has been mentioned only after the stage of Anartha Nivriti. It is therefore logical to describe unwavering devotional practice, Nishtita Bhajana Kriya, after the eradication of anarthas has been portrayed. So now we come to the stage entering into Nishta, before Nishta. The stage of bhakti in which Nishta or Nishchalata, the quality of being unwavering, has arisen is called Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. Even when someone desires to daily perform the limbs or angas of bhakti, such as Shravanam, kirtanam, hearing and chanting. If he is still in the stage being bound by anarthas, then he will be unable to make his performance of bhakti steady on the account of the following 5 almost irrepressible obstacles: laya, drowsiness; vikshepa, distraction; apratipati, incompetence; kashaya, bitterness; and rasasvada, taste for mundane pleasure. The quality of nishta, fixed determination, can only enter one's performance of bhakti after the stage of anartha nivriti, when these 5 obstacles have almost gone. Hence, we should understand the absence of these 5 obstacles is symptomatic of nishta. Srila Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur has described that the absence of these 5 kinds of obstacles, laya, vikshepa, apratipati, kashaya, and rasasvada, is the sign that nishta has awakened. Shri Rudra prays to Shri Bhagavan, O Master, the fruits of associating with saints, satsang, is the performance of bhakti yoga to you, through which a person's consciousness is blessed and becomes supremely pure. Consequently, one's consciousness is no longer distracted by external sense objects, and one does not enter into the dark cave of ignorance. At that time, a person can understand you, the absolute truth. Bhagavatam 4:24-59. This verse describes a sadhaka who is free from laya, vikshepa, apratipati, kashaya, and rasasvada. So these are the 5 obstacles. If these don't exist, you know that you are close to the stage of nishta. Laya, which is indolence or sleep; vikshepa, distraction; apratipati, irresolute or incompetence; kashaya, impurities, repressed emotions resurfacing; and rasaswada, taste for material enjoyment. So sleep. Let's see if, okay, so let's go through them through this example and we can elaborate. So indolence, sleep, laya. Laya is weakness of being more drowsy during hearing about the Lord than while chanting his names, and more drowsy while remembering Lord Hari than during hearing about him, tamagun. So for example, how many of you have the experience that when you start chanting, at some stage in your chanting, dive bomb japa, fell off to sleep. And there may be other causes that's also doing that. You have a thyroid problem, iron deficiency, you didn't sleep well last night. So because you didn't have good rest, then you may fall off to sleep by chanting your rounds. But let's say you are well rested and your vitamins are first class and you don't have a thyroid problem. And now you pick up your bead bag and start chanting. After a while, guess what happens? Loss of interest, you fall off to sleep somewhere. Liar. And here, Srila Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur is saying that the weakness is more, being more drowsy during hearing, because when you're hearing, basically your ears are open, but when you're chanting, it's a little more difficult to fall off to sleep. When you're remembering, it's even more easier because you can get distracted. Like if you, Prabhupada said, chant and walk. If you chant and walk, it's more unlikely you fall off to sleep. We had a devotee that would fall off to sleep even while walking and chanting. And you would just, you would close your eyes and you would be chanting. Next minute, you hear boom, because he knocked into the wall of the pillar. So that can happen. And that's an anartha, no problem. If you're sitting like for example, you go for a Bhagavatam class and you're sitting there and you're feeling drowsy, feeling lazy, feeling sleepy. Means there's no connection, there's no interest. As soon as you say, okay, prasadam time, hey, now you wait awake. So that means this is how you can gauge tamagun, overcome by sleep, indolence. Now, it's true, sometimes in class, they have to crack jokes and have to give you nice stories to keep you attentive. But if somebody sincerely was speaking Krishna Katha with no stories, like, he's not, what's the word, embellishing it, putting some nice embellishment and jokes and cracking. No, just pure Krishna Katha. And you feel indolence, laziness, sleep, means the narrative is still there. Right. So that's the first one. When this is not there, as soon as you start chanting Hare Krishna, as soon as you start reading, a classic example is Bhagavatam is not meant to be used as a sleeping pill. So when you go and start reading Bhagavatam and you fall asleep, that's not correct. So this anartha should non-exist when you come to the stage of Nishta. Then Vikshepa, distraction. Vikshepa is talking or thinking about mundane nonsense during devotional activities such as hearing and chanting. So, it's like there's a kirtan or you're chanting japa and all of a sudden you start thinking about mundane nonsense, mundane subjects, or start speaking about mundane topics. Any form of distraction. This is also an anartha. And we're going to talk about this. This is also inattention. You get distracted. Then apratipati, irresolute, incompetence. Although both laya and vikshepa are diminished or even absent, that means you now fully awake, you don't fall asleep, there's no distraction, still, one still feels incapable of dedicating oneself to or disinterested in hearing and chanting due to lack of firm motivation. So you don't have a problem with sleep, you don't have a problem with distraction, but there's no taste, there's no enthusiasm to hear and chant. Let me go do something else. So that incompetence, irresolute, it's such a burden, is still there. Then kashaya, impurities, repressed emotion resurfacing. Kashaya is defined as a tendency to display old faults such as anger, greed, arrogance in spite of or even during devotional activities. So these bad qualities, they surface again. And rasa swada, the taste for material enjoyment. Rasa swada means that the mind is so attached to sense pleasure, often meditating on it, that he is unable to hear and chant with concentration. This is Rajagun. So here we have Tamagun, here we have Rajagun. So you're chanting Hare Krishna and all of a sudden the mind's thing called sense gratification. And you can use this when you're chanting Hare Krishna. See what happens when you chant Hare Krishna. Can you keep awake and focus and attentive without getting distracted? Are you able to keep your focus? I'm going to chant 16 rounds non-stop. Do these negative qualities come during devotional practices? Short-tempered? And do your mind go for sense gratification? Some thoughts for enjoyment come, so you can actually measure. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about vikshepa in relation to inattention. We spoke about this yesterday. From distraction, all types of inattention are born. This fault resides in attraction for women or men, in case of women, and wealth, attraction for material success or victory, desire for position, and cheating propensity. If one has attraction in any of these categories, one will naturally be inattentive to the holy name. A classic example of inattention is your cell phone. And if one chants like this, unfortunately, you're going nowhere. At least you're definitely not progressing on this path. It's creating more narratives. So switch off your cell phone, put it in another room. Don't keep it on. Simple thing like this in your hand. It's a distraction. Clearly, your attention is to the cell phone and not to the holy name, not to Krishna. So you can see he's indirectly he is exhibiting this laziness or sleep or indolence because he's more excited about the phone. And this is like boring and will follow to sleep. So that's why his attention is more here. He's distracted. So we have to be careful. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms Tadarajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayas chaye cheta eter anavidam stitam satve prasaditi. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Nina was saying there is no happy devotees. If they're practicing the process scientifically, happiness is a byproduct. When goodness is established, you'll be happy, light-hearted. In this verse, the Sanskrit word cha and conveys the presence of passion and ignorance in the heart of a devotee. But in the same verse, the expression cheta eter anavidam, that the mind is unaffected by these. So as you progress and you come to nishta, even though these tendencies may be there, they do not overpower. The process of devotional service is so powerful at nishta, it does not allow it to manifest. It overpowers and eventually eradicates it. Establish that his modes are not obstacles on the path of devotion, but resides in the heart in a neutral state until the devotee on the platform of steady devotional service attains bhava. So we've come through bhajana kriya, anartha nivriti. We continue practicing devotional service. Just be cautious of these anarthas. Then we come to the beginning of nishta. We enter into the stage of nishta. These different 5 obstacles will slowly reduce, disappear, and then we come to nishta. And in nishta, there is 2 aspects of nishta. Tad anukula vastu vartini means resting, steadiness, that's resting in that which is favorable for bhakti, like kindness, mercy, forgiveness, truthfulness, different qualities. And then they shakshat bhakti vartini, which steadiness, unshakable resolve, resting directly in bhakti herself. And this can also be in 3 stages. For devotional service practiced by the body, by words, and by mind. So we'll just speak a little about this. There may be conducive qualities that you got from piety and from your past that will keep you and facilitate steadiness. And that's not bad, but because these qualities may be brought or born out of the modes, they may not sustain that eventually. What will sustain you eventually is bhakti itself. So this can facilitate, and it's good to allow you to come to the platform, but by continuing to practice the process of bhakti, that's where real steadiness and steadiness that can endure the rest of the journey. So that's the best. And that then also gets progressive, right? Steadiness through body, steadiness through speech, and steadiness in your mind. That means it's easier to practice devotional service steadily with your body, with less interruption, than with your words, and even less with your mind, because your mind may get distracted. But as you become more and more steady, then both body, mind, and words all are absorbed, all are focused with less and less distraction. So two types of nishta steadiness, which we spoke about, just sharing. Steadiness can be achieved via bhakti itself. And stated differently, this first type of nishta, fixed faith, directly nourishes spontaneous bhakti. Some say that steadiness is attained in progression, like body, mind, body, words, and mental. Others say the progression can differ depending upon one's eagerness to serve in a particular capacity. The second type of steadiness in bhakti, may be also achieved with the support of elements favorable to bhakti, giving respect to others, forgiveness, humility, mercy, friendliness, without having yet attained actual steadiness in Sakshat Bhakti. This second type of nishta fosters complementary bhakti qualities. In this way, steadiness is achieved. When nishta is achieved, Sakshat Bhakti, one may be arrogant or otherwise contaminated by residual effect of the lower modes, even while being fixed and steady in bhakti itself. Only one who is wise and experienced can recognize the difference between steadiness that comes from bhakti itself and mere apparent steadiness manifests in the mode of goodness characteristics. Vishwanath Tagore says it's very difficult to understand, to let's say know or you need to be very experienced and advanced to gauge someone who's come to the mode of steadiness between the qualities that may be there or between bhakti itself. But whichever way, they foster each other, and ultimately we want to absorb ourselves in the process, focusing on bhakti, on devotional service. Srila Jiva Goswami talks about steadiness in his Bhakti Sandarbha, and he says, compared to the other processes in relation to bhakti, he says in the other processes, there is absolutely no question of coming to steadiness without all the anarthas getting extinguished, like jnana. Whereas in bhakti, like you can start bhakti even with anarthas. Right now, we all can start chanting Hare Krishna, even with so much problems. So we may have obstacles and anarthas, I can still chant Hare Krishna, no problem. So it doesn't stop one. And even to come to the stage of nishta, I haven't completely eradicated all my anarthas, and yet I can come to nishta. Whereas in the other processes, sorry, all your anarthas need to be zero before you can get to the steadiness in that process. Therefore, he's saying, glory is to the process of devotional service. I'm sure many of you had this experience using a magnifying glass and the sun rays. What do I need in order to start that fire on a piece of paper? Using a magnifying glass and the sun rays. So yes, I need sun rays. I've got sun rays. The sun rays is the process of devotional service. What do I need? Yes, Rajesh said, focus. If I just move that magnifying glass here, there, no focus, it ain't gonna work. I need to be steady, and I need to start focusing those rays on the piece of paper and hold it there steady, focused, and the paper starts to burn. Similarly, I need to be focused with devotional service, whatever it is. Be consistent with it. Be regular. Try not to minimize. Try always to increase. Don't increase more than what you can cater for. Be practical. If it's one round, you stick to one round. And also have a measure of time where you can increase to 2 rounds. But you stick to it. Focus, attention is key. Just as a piece of paper will not burn immediately by intensifying the sun rays on it through a magnifying glass, but only when it is steadily focused on for some time. Similarly, devotion will only alight in our heart if we can stay focused on the objective of our devotion steadily for some time. Therefore, to get taste in devotion, we must remain attentive and fixed. What is the practice to do that? 4 things Patanjali mentions. Concentration, number 1. Without interruption, number 2. Over a prolonged period, number 3. And in the right mood. In other words, nishtha, fixedness, or attentiveness naturally leads to real taste or ruchi. So 1 and 2, cultivate concentration without interruption. Nairantarya. 3, reverence and devotion, satkara. And 4, over a prolonged period, dirgara kala. So these things are important for us to come to the stage of nishtha. Other aspects that we can measure how we, are we coming to the stage of nishtha is spiritualization of I and mine is becoming pervasive. That means I'm moving away from I'm this body, and I'm realizing more and more and becoming more convinced that I am spirit soul, and becoming more and more convinced that I'm actually a servant of Krishna. That's how you can also understand you come to the stage of nishtha. Traces of rajas and tamas, passion and ignorance may be present, but they cannot act due to steady bhakti's influence. Meditation, only a trace on other topics, means my mind gets distracted very slightly to different topics here and there, no problem. But majority of the time, it's focused on chanting, hearing and chanting, engage in devotional service. And material attachments, slight, but not prominent. There may be some material attachments, very flickering, no problem, not a problem at all. So here's, we're not going to go into detail, but in essence, what's showing is from Shraddha to Prem, the spiritual aspect, as I becoming more and more absorbed and advanced, it starts off with some focus in spiritual aspects. It becomes more condensed, more specific, and becomes more complete. So my focus on spiritual aspects become more, and material aspects becomes less, and my distraction to other topics becomes less, and then slowly my focus starts to become spiritual topics, long-lasting, deep, eventually seeing the Lord and directly associating with the Lord. So this is the transition. You'll see that happening. When you start engaging devotional service, you become more interested in those things related to Krishna and less to those things which are mundane and materialistic. Your mind starts to resonate and go and become more absorbed and focused to things which are devotional service related and less to sense gratification. Your habits, your attachments, your likes and dislikes, everything. Like before I was practicing Krishna consciousness, in fact, I was a volleyball. I had my Transvaal colors in volleyball. I loved playing volleyball. Every day from school, I would play volleyball. As soon as I became a devotee, started chanting Hare Krishna, practicing devotee, volleyball gone. So the desire to play volleyball disappeared. And then the desire to have kirtan increased. So like that, I'll be able to gauge. How to determine if someone is on the platform of nishtha. See whether they are consistently intense in their endeavor to hear and chant, or if they are slack. If they are steady day after day after day, and intense in their effort to be attentive in chanting, hearing and other forms of devotion, then anartha nivritti will progress quickly, and offenseless chanting will be quickly approached. Such sadhakas are approaching the stage of nishtha. So in summary, when we come to the stage of nishtha, we can gauge, is there laxity or intensity in effort? Are you serious? It's like you really take serious practice to devotional service, you take it up and you now get into it. Or like, do I have to really do this? Do I have to go? I mean, seriously? Can't I? No. Yes, I'm embracing it. There is intensity of effort, as well as difficulty and ease in hearing. chanting, doing other devotional service? How easy are you able to chant, hear, read, serve? Is like take effort, take some push, keep nagging, or quickly you can embrace it, no problem. You start to develop a habit and a taste that comes from that. Yes, the taste is naturally there, therefore you'll take some activities quicker than others. But because of the importance, the proper attitude, the faith, the conviction, the removal of all these obstacles, because it is the is like if I'm driving a car and I got broken pieces of glasses and tires and rocks, it just obstructs my journey. If I have a clean road, the car can go. So these anarthas are just obstacles. As soon as anarthas are removed, clean road, it becomes easier to embrace these activities. So that's how I can gauge are criteria for entering into as well as evaluating steadiness in bhakti. Tomorrow we will be covering how, as we gone through the steadiness now, we've now steady in our practice of bhakti. We will now cover ruchi, taste for bhajan. Not tomorrow, on Thursday. Tomorrow we will do science of self-realization. We will cover ruchi on depending ruchi and a shakti. I'll see how if we can cover both. Maybe ruchi and a shakti, and then bhava and prema will cover on Friday, and that should conclude our course on Madhurya Kadambini. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Go Pramanande Hari Hari Bo. Any questions or comments? Right. So, Shushila, it depends on previous days' actions. Example, stress, work, prasadam, honored, late. Therefore, only discipline is the key for me. Yes. But habits, like, for example, if you sleeping at 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, then you're getting up at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock to try and change your rounds, it's not going to work. So there may be practical considerations, what you're eating, what you're seeing, that'll impact your chanting. So definitely, it's not just that these things are irrelevant. They're very, very relevant for our practice of devotional service. Staying up too late, not eating late, regulation, very important. Mukund says, thank you, Prabhu. Raja says, thank you. Hare Krishna, thank you. Radhika, should one have a diary or a logbook and measure progress? Yes, why not? There are some devotees that do journaling, and every night they write their thoughts. Bhakti Titramarch would do that. He would Bhakti Titramarch every day. After the whole days of service, in the evening, before he could take rest, he would write a letter to Srila Prabhupada about his daily schedule. So yes, depending on the individuals, if you find that a diary or logbook helps you to measure progress, yes, some devotees do journaling where they write their thoughts, etc., because they feel if it's on paper, they can obviously reflect on it, contemplate. So whatever works for you for this journey, embrace it. It's not like the journaling would work for everyone. There may be some benefits, some pros and cons, but do what works. And maybe test it out. Try this, try that, see what works. And what works, you take it up and you embrace it. Just like I was fortunate, I stayed in the temple for like 10 years. And every day we would get up for Mangalarti. I loved Mangalarti. That regulation helped me get up early for Mangalarti, 4:30 in the morning, every single day. So then when I moved out of the temple, it was very easy to get up early in the morning. No problem at all. Before I go to work, my rounds are done. So that helps. Regulation, practice, try what works. Daksha, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Do we use the same link to join SSR? No, SSR is different. For Science of Self-Realization, there is a different link. Let me just quickly put that link for you in the chat. Stack. So this is the Science of Self-Realization link. There you go. Amawati says, wonderful way to spend Ekadasi. Thanks for enlightening us. Oh, yes. Can an anartha come out in a gross way? Can you give an example? So, for example, I have a thought because of some bad association, a thought manifests in my mind, and it's such a powerful thought that I need to act on it. It could be I need to go on the internet to a pornographic site. It could be I need to take some drugs. It could be I need to take Coca-Cola because that desire surfaced. I'm chanting Hare Krishna and that urge, that desire was so strong, I need to go and I succumb to it. So like that, gross anarthas. Or, they could be gross and subtle. You will find they can impact your body, they can impact your mind, they can impact your speech, or they can even impact for you to act on them. Each individual will experience the journey in different ways because we're all different and we all have different anarthas. The process is the same. The purification will happen no matter what. We simply have to stick on the path, be convinced of the path, hear and chant, serve the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, serve the Bhagavatam, and in this way, guaranteed, you will achieve perfection on this path. Thank you very much. We will end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gopram Nande, Hari Hari Bol.